Hello, this is Erin with the Joy in Pens and Paper, and I am going to do an April ink swatch palette page of inks that I am considering for the month of April. I don't necessarily have a color that I attribute to April. I thought perhaps I might be leaning towards pastels, but as I was flipping through my ink swatch book and all the other ink swatches that I have in my ink journal and such, I was kind of surprised by the colors that I was gravitating towards. And really, I don't know what the story is that they're going to tell. I love, by the way, I love watching Dandelion Diaries, and her currently inked, she'll give it a name. And I've always really enjoyed that. I have no clue what name I would give this. So if you have any suggestions, please share. I'm also going to welcome you to leave a comment with, you know, 3, 5, 7-ish inks that you would select if you had this array to choose from. And if you are someone that knows my collection really well, if you want to throw out some pen recommendations, I also really love that too. This has become one of my favorite videos to make each month because I love that it's a conversation starter, and I love hearing and reading what everyone would select if they had these options to choose from. Now, the palette was ultimately inspired or initially started, let me say it that way, by a particular ink. And I think it was Adventures Over 40, Priscilla, who, and if I'm wrong, I am so sorry, but I believe she and I had a little commentary banter, if you will, where I kind of threw out there, I'll use this ink in April if you use this ink type of an exchange. So when I get to that ink, I will point that out. I have a swatch over here to off to the side of all of little tiny circles of all of the inks, and I looked at those and I tried to arrange them in a way on this page that would make some sense. Let's see if I could actually play out. Apologies, that was a little notification if you heard it. Okay, so the first ink that I'm going to offer for the month of April is Pelikan Edelstein Golden Lapis. And this look at, it's got this beautiful gold shimmer and this really bright blue. This was an ink that was a free gift for those that attended the 2024 Pelikan Hub. I actually need to start to look to see when the sign up is for the 2025 Pelikan Hub. So I'm just going to do, let me see, how have I been doing? Okay, just going to do a little swatch and then label it. And I just love how these pages look when they're done. So we have Pelikan, Edelstein, Golden Lapis. I'm just going to add a little line here, just one, nothing fancy. I'm doing the swatches with a Kakamori brass nib dip pen. Such a nice happy blue. And I am not typically a blue ink person. However, this particular month I did have a number of blues that I pulled out. Okay, next up, this bottle has an eyedropper, and I love that it has an eyedropper However, when I'm doing these swatches or inking up a pen, it does get a little bit in the way. I had recently, so a while back, I purchased a Mahjong, is it an A5? I feel like that's not correct, but it was a Mahjong eyedropper fill pen. It has a clear body and a huge ink capacity. And a viewer stumbled across that video and left me an amazingly long comment about in essence, the proper use of an eyedropper fill pen and how you can use the body of the pen where if I understood the comment correctly, where the body that holds the ink well, if you will, screws onto the section and the nib unit, and you can point the nib down and screw the section, and it creates pressure that pushes the ink down through the feed. And if you are wanting to limit the amount of ink coming out, or if it's burping, you point the nib up and you twist the barrel and it suctions down. I hope I'm not butchering that. And the viewer also gave a little kind of history lesson of eyedropper pens were the original fountain pens before you had things like converters and cartridges and such, which I'm not surprised about, because prior to that would be the quill. So that is logical, but I love that comment. If you are that viewer and you're watching, thank you. I actually really, really appreciated that learning opportunity. So I went on that tangent because I am towards the end of the current fill in my Opus 88, and so I'm starting to think of, am I going to ink this up again with another gray ink, as I have been for a number of months now? Or am I going to give that one a rest? Or am I going to ink that up with a color? And this April presents an opportunity to ink it up with a color because I'm about to start a new month. So when I'm swatching an ink that has the dropper built in, it just to me kind of signals, put this in the Opus 88 or the Mahjong. All right, and this is an ink that I recently swatched in a 3 Ink Thursday video. And it just reminded me how much I like this ink. And again, I'm not a blue person, but this is a grayish blue. And I remember when I got this particular ink, it was around the time that I got my first Sailor, which was a Sailor Compass. And it had a translucent body and a clear translucent feed. And I put this ink in it, and the translucent feed took on the slightest hint of this color, and it was stunning, and I really enjoyed it. That would be one I would be interested in going back to. All right, so Robert Oster, this one is called Summer Storm. It's a well lubricated ink. I just want a little bit of a thicker line, but I also don't want to oversaturate it. All right, so like I said, I got a bit more blue in this one, and that's not all. Oh, no. All right, next I have, this is the ink that I was talking about. And apologies, I decided to pick off my nail polish and ruin my nails. It's fine. I'll fix it later. Um, Baltic Breeze. This is an ink from the 2024 Diamine Ink Vent Calendar, and it has this beautiful pink shimmer to it. Rose gold, if you will. Oh gosh, I'm 10 minutes in. I've only swatched 3 inks. Apparently this is going to be chatty. Buckle up, Buttercup. Here we go. So this is a little similar in terms of base color to Summer Storm, but it's a lighter, maybe, yeah, it's lighter. It's more of a medium. This is light. So this is the one that I'm really leaning towards inking up this month. And if I make good on my deal with Patricia, I will be inking it up. Patricia, if you're watching this, do you have a pen recommendation for this one? Whoops. Oh boy. Did anyone see my mistake? I put the ink name on top instead of the brand, which is opposite of what I typically do. And that's a whoopsie that I'm going to have to deal with. I really like this ink. It has some real kind of lightness and brightness, more like a baby blue versus the grayish blue. And then after that, I have, this is a Ferris wheel press, and it's Blushing Mushroom. This also has a pink shimmer. So I thought it would be interesting to put it next to Baltic Breeze, but this is a bit more of a purple, like a purplish gray. Oh, that's not easy to write with. Could be user error though. That's very light. If you watched my 3 Inks Thursday video from Thursday, number 44, apologies, I was not able to edit out my rambunctious child, but I did chat with him after. Even before I went into the uploading and editing process, I let him know that I was recording. I didn't tell him ahead of time. That was probably my own fault. But and I let him know about the joke I made about his vocabulary. And but then at dinner, my husband brought it up, and so talked about being a little bit more mindful. Now this, actually, I think this is from Adventures Over 40, Patricia. This was a sample that was gifted to me, and it's my only Birmingham Pen Company ink that has a shimmer, and it's quite thick. I actually, when I pre-swatched this, I did not even agitate it enough to get all the shimmer at the bottom. And I'm just going to go ahead and swatch it, because when I look here at the top, I can see the shimmer still swirling around at the top despite there being all of that shimmer on the bottom. Now this one is not a blue. However, when it dries down, it has a little bit of, am I looking at the right one? It's not really blue, but the shimmer gives it a bluish tint because it's a real silver shimmer. So Birmingham Pen Company, Rosewood Twinkle. I found myself thinking, I want to see this ink next to Pennsylvania Fieldstone because I think it's a similar color pink. But oh, that's so pretty. So pretty. Okay, next up is, which way am I going? This way? This way. Yes. All right, so I have another sample. Again, I think this is from Adventures Over 40, Teranishi Opera Rose. I tried to do a nice mix between samples and bottles. I am not making much progress in paring down my sample collection, so I'm going to try to be a little bit more mindful of that. Teranishi Opera Rose. So pretty. And then next is another sample from Adventures Over 40. Now this one, I want you to take a look at this sticker at the top. See how it's this baby yellow color? That is not, in fact, the color of the ink. It's just the little label at the top. It had some fading, which is perfectly fine. Look at that. A little bit similar to Sunset Blush. Copperhead. And then Sailor Kitsune Biori. This might be a sample from Diana. I apologize. I should have been better at documenting where I got things from. It's one of those hindsight things of just wanting to do better. Kitsune Fiore. Oh no, forgot to do the line. Whoops. Got a little distracted. And this is going to pinken up as it dries down, which will make sense why I selected the order that I did. Okay. Then we have now here's where we get into a plot twist. And again, I was picking inks that I really was drawn to as I was flipping through my samples. So this is Birmingham Pen Company. Timber frame. Beautiful. Now, I am going to pause here because I need to place a pickup order for dinner for my family. I just got a text message from my husband. Um, so I'm going to pause, and hopefully, when I pick this back up, it looks like nothing happened, and maybe I should never even said anything, but c'est la vie. Okay. I was not successful. I think the place we wanted to order from is not open. So next up, while I try to think of where else we are going to eat from, this is a discontinued ink, and if that is triggering for anyone, I greatly apologize, but I do have it in my collection and I would like to use it. So this is Pilot Iroshizuku Ina Ho. And followed that with, and this one I chose that I wanted to place it under Sailor Kitsune Biore. So this goes down green and dries like a pinky brown. That's wet. It's another Birmingham Pen Co. Got a few of those this month. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This one's called Antique Sepia. All right. And we've got 3 more. This one's Teranishi Nostalgic Honey. Such a lovely color. Teranishi Nostalgic Honey. And then Ferris Wheel Press Autumn in Auburn. This is a sample I was so excited to get, and I am disappointed in myself that I have not inked it up yet. So this might be the month. I think because I just wrote the word autumn, I am feeling the September, October, November vibes here. Okay, and the last ink, this one I've had a hankering to use recently. So if it's not one that I end up using in April, I very well might bring this back out again in May, even though I would not call this necessarily a spring ink. So this is Diamine Brandy Snap. I've inked this up in my Pelikan M400 and a Platinum 3776, and talk about two different directions. The Pelikan M400 has a very, very wet extra fine nib, and the Platinum 3776 has a very, very fine nib. And I loved it in both. So, like I said, I'm kind of having a hankering to use it. So here are the 15 inks that I am considering for April. And when I see it like this is beautiful. I love this. I do feel like the browns are out of pocket. And if I were to go more pastel, I maybe could have had a yellow or green, but I'm using a lot of greens this month, and I really, I love green, and I'm not necessarily saying I need a break. In fact, I almost added some greens into this palette, but I wanted to use some different colors, and these were the ones that spoke to me. And they're just all so beautiful. Beautiful. I probably should have actually flipped Sailor Kitsune Biore with Birmingham Pencoat Antique Sepia, because that would have been nicely paired next to Rosewood Twinkle and the pink, but I still think this is beautiful. You got everything from the bright to the muted. So again, let me know what your thoughts are in terms of which of these inks would you choose, and if you know my collection, what pens would you pair it with? Or if you don't know my collection, what pens in your collection would you pair your ink selections with? Because maybe I have a similar pen, or maybe that will inspire me. Yeah. Oh, so pretty. So pretty. So sorry, I'm just going to continue. When I do these pages, I actually end up carrying this book around my home for a while, a little bit over the next couple. I will a little bit over the next couple of days, just because I want to look at this and look at it in different lighting and really consider what my choices might be. So thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. I appreciate you. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and hopefully I will see you in the next one. Bye.